Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from PettyRevenge. Story 1 is by MT Siri. You took a week from me? I'll take a month from you. There's a type of customer who asks a million questions but never makes a purchase. If you're selling something, especially your own handmade products, you'll have to get used to it. Regardless, it's important to learn to respect them. These are the people who teach you how to engage in productive dialogue, but everything should be done in moderation. I came across one such customer who contacted me and immediately said, "And I want to order gifts for my employees from you. 30 engraved knives." For someone like me who's struggling financially, this order was a godsend. I was thrilled and immediately said I was ready to discuss everything, promising to make the best quality and give him the biggest discount I could. He said, okay, gave me his phone number and asked me to call when he's available. Due to the time difference, it meant getting up at 5 in the morning for me. I woke up early and called. He greeted me with, "Good morning." He was aware it was 5 in the morning for me and started asking me a million questions. He asked about the steel grades I work with, then existing steel grades, and even my predictions about future steel. He asked about Damascus steel, discussed Damascus the city, the history of Syria, and the history of art and weaponry. And now it was not 5 a.m., but 9. That's when he ended the conversation. We hadn't discussed anything regarding his order. The next day I called him again, and the same thing happened. And the day after. I started losing my temper, but I really needed this order. On the 5th day, I started the conversation immediately with a request to discuss his order because I had very little personal time. I had 2 jobs and a family. Do you know what he replied? Sorry, we discussed it with the team and we decided to purchase gift baskets instead. Knives are not for everyone, after all. Then what were we discussing for the past 5 days? Why did this all happen? Well, you're passionate about knives, and I'm passionate about them too. A good conversation is a rare pleasure. Do you understand that I spent the whole week on you? I hardly slept to be awake for our conversation. Why did you do this? Hey, you're a big boy. Why are you whining? Learn how to work with clients. Maybe I'll buy something from you later. At that point, I hung up and blocked him. But this story didn't leave me. The person took advantage of my vulnerability and simply played with me. I thought for a long time about how to get back at him, until I realized why not let him taste his own medicine. I contacted my friends in the US and explained the situation to them. After a week, they started writing to his company with requests for placing large orders. Of course, they couldn't spend 5 hours on the phone, but they didn't need to. They simply started sending them technical specifications with endless revisions. The number of revisions kept growing, and the company spent more and more time on approvals. Budgets were inflated, and my friends agreed to any additional expenses, which would never actually happen. And somewhere within a month of this circus, they unanimously decided to stop working further, saying, "Thank you, but we're no longer interested." The funniest part was when one of them received a call from my conversation partner, and he was practically yelling at him, wondering why the heck my friend wasted so much of his time. To which he received this response, "Why do you take it so personally? It was business. You couldn't convince me of the benefits of working with you. Don't call me again. Goodbye." In the end, with some ingenuity on your side, even as a small person, you can get a little bit of justice. It makes me wonder what business the other guy was involved in. It doesn't really say in here. The guy that initially called and wasted all of this guy's time, he just said, "I have my company's anniversary coming up," but he doesn't say what his company does. So I hope they wasted a lot of his time and money. Sometimes it's okay to say to somebody, let's strictly discuss business here and make sure that we're on the same foot, because there's only so many hours in the day, and though some conversations are great to have, time is limited. You need time with your family, you need time for your other jobs, you need time for chores, which will always be there for you. I saw something on Imager once that stuck with me and said, "Don't worry, if you're having a bad day, just know that something will always be there for you. Dishes. Dishes will always be there for you." And that's the truth. Literally every single day, there's like 700 dishes to do, I swear. Our next story is by Burak, 1976. Victimface. Victimface sat opposite me in my old work. She was everything I find really difficult in other people. You know the type. Passive-aggressive sighing over not getting to leave early when others did, but refusing to accept that they came in early, too. Sharing her personal problems constantly, as it was so lovely to have emotionally supportive colleagues. She went through whatever terrible fate life had thrown at her that day. I wouldn't have minded so much if Victimface hadn't been one of the laziest arses around. She'd do nothing for days and whine about how she was so busy and management didn't understand how stressed she was. Doing F-all can be exhausting, I understand. The one thing Victimface hated was answering the phone. If anyone phoned, she would wait and wait and wait, just looking at it until someone else got fed up with listening to it and picked up and answered. She would never take a call, ever. But oh my God, did she whine about the phone. She didn't understand why her phone rang all the time and nobody else's did. They did constantly, it's just that other people answered them and didn't leave them to ring until they broke someone else's spirit and they answered. I was working late after she'd left one day, early to pick up her kids. Nobody knows how hard it is to be a millennial mother. I sent a global email out, not to her or management, but stated that due to technical problems there was an issue with the phones and could everyone please change the number in their email signatures to her. Then I changed the options on the phones so you couldn't pick up calls from other desks. The next day I watched Victimface getting angrier and angrier as her phone rang constantly and nobody else would pick it up. She got more and more stressed as the day then the week went on. I sat there with an enormous internal grin, watching and being the kindest, most sympathetic colleague you could ever have. I left it like that for about a week before reconnecting the pickup loop and telling people to change the numbers in their email signatures back to their own. Personally, I never did, and she answered my calls for the rest of the time we worked together. This kind of petty revenge takes a little bit of technological know-how. I don't think that I could do those things. I mean, this person must have outranked her slightly. Otherwise, why would all the employees just listen to her and change their numbers? Unless they all didn't like her, too. Maybe it was actually done maliciously among the entire group. Our next story is by Dismal Attempt 2792. Called out a guy who denied flirting just for fun. The other day I was having a really tough time. My fiancé and I are stuck in a shelter right now for our safety. 2 weeks in an outdoor shelter with no privacy except to pee or shower around hundreds of people will break you down. I was at the point that all the noise was making me bawl my eyes out and we were just picking up a phone from the charging room before leaving to get some air and therapy sessions. Fiancé is inside and a guy comes up to me trying to flirt. I mention I'm with fiancé and his response is, "I'm from Los Angeles where we don't care about that." I reject 3 attempts to get my info, and without really thinking, I type his number into a random note so he sees me do it and hopefully goes away. Finally, his attention goes elsewhere and he leaves me alone. I know he probably couldn't realize how upset I was, but we've all seen it when a person is pale, near tears, their voice is shaky. I just looked like I was about to break, and it was obvious I'd been crying all day. The next day we were in the same line. Fiancé goes in. They let a certain amount of people in at a time, and I'm sitting outside. Guy from before takes a step close to me, and under breath I say, "Don't do it." But he seems to hear that, because he stops in his tracks and goes around me to the back of the line. I call fiancé and ask him to hurry back just in case. I made it clear he wasn't currently bothering me, but just wanted to feel okay. When he gets out, he respectfully asked the guy if it was me he hit on. Guy denied it and got hostile, and fiancé apologized, explained his only intention is to ask whoever it was to not do it again because we're really struggling right now. But I'm the petty one, and I'm annoyed that he denied it when he'd been staring at me in line for 10 plus minutes. Pulled up notes, saw that I had his number, and put it in text now. I called the phone number and he picked it up. And I said it was the guy who gave me his number yesterday. We didn't push it further. I just wanted to prove my point to my fiancé and nosy busybodies watching because they love drama. I haven't seen him around since then, luckily. Also, Text Now is a fake number app, so he did not get my real information. This guy is trying to take advantage of people who are down on their luck. He is a creep for doing that. You don't go to people who are in a shelter because their lives are in turmoil right now and start flirting with them. Let alone somebody who tells you, I'm here with my fiancé, and you just say, well, I'm from another state where we don't care if you have a fiancé, and keep flirting. This guy is a literal scumbag. Today's stories have come to a close. Until we meet again, have a stupefying day.